This conference will now be recorded.
All right, welcome everybody. Cram session number 2, HR Florida. We're going to put together our cram session tonight. We're lucky enough to have the El Presidente, Chad Sorensen, tonight. He's right there in the middle in the family pictures there. But he is going to be our guest host tonight, and he is a senior certified professional, and he'll tell you a little bit about himself in a few minutes. But I just wanted to give you a heads up that all these are recorded. They're all on HR Florida's website. We save them all, and we put them on the certification page, so you can go back and kind of watch them or listen to them as you're driving. I read all the questions out loud, so if you don't have a chance to be on a computer, you can actually hear the question and hear the back and forth conversation. And you hear me miss quite a few. You know, I try to do that just to keep you guys like feeling good about yourself, but we try to have a little bit of fun with it. So if you're there, you're going to chime in the chat box when we get going in a little while. We'll have questions and answer there. Feel free to talk if you feel strongly about an answer. Make sure you throw it out there. But again, thank you guys very much. I'm Doug Baber. I'm the HR certification director for HR Florida. Certification director for HR Florida, and I'm happy to host this. So far, we've had over 111 or 12, something like that, certified in our last 2 sessions from the state of Florida. So we keep pushing those along. We're lucky enough to have HR Florida support these, and they give a $500 honorarium each time that we host these sessions. So at the end of the session, at the quarter chapter meeting, the council meeting, excuse me, following that, we give away a $500 honorarium to somebody who's passed the test as a chapter member and part of the organization. So there's a lot of incentive there, $500 bucks, and wrong catch. All right, without further ado, I'll introduce Mr. Chad Sorensen, El Presidente. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, hey, I'm glad to be able to be here today and to be able to chat with everyone. A little background on myself: I have my own HR consulting company that I started 13 years ago, and have called Adaptive HR Solutions. Have loved it and love being a part of it and being able to help clients throughout the state. And for 2021 and 2022, I'm the president of the HR Florida State Council. I got involved in the state council probably a little bit more than a decade ago, and got involved with our conference team, and have been involved with the conference ever since, and have been on the executive committee. This is my 5th year. And prior to that, I was the president of SHRM Jacksonville in 2015 and 16. I've been certified for SVHR since I guess it was 2004, and then as soon as I could, got certified as a SHRM SCP, and have enjoyed it ever since. My big focus, and one of the reasons why Doug has me do this session, is because the big focus that I do is when I go out to talk to SHRM groups, to HR professionals, to trade associations, and I'm talking to the HR professionals, my big focus is we need to know the business. We need to understand the business. We need to talk in the language that business has. And so that's where I really try to push HR professionals, because my philosophy is that if you don't know what the business is doing, how the business makes money, who the customers are, then you really don't have a business being in HR in that organization. You really need to know that in order to be effective in the HR role, you really need to know the business side. And I think HR gets more credibility every time we have HR professionals who are stronger in the business knowledge. And you know, the 3 areas we're focusing on tonight: business acumen, the consultation side of things, and critical evaluation. I think those business skills are very, very important for what we're trying to do as HR professionals. So glad everyone is here. I'm going to take 30 seconds to talk about the HR Florida Conference. If you've never attended, you're missing out. If you've attended and not sure if you want to attend, you've got to the end of this month for the current price break. Prices go up at the end of this month. Normally we have between 2,000 and 2,500 HR professionals come together. This year will be our last year at the Gaylord Palms in Kissimmee, but we're looking forward to having people. Just as a point of reference, we were the only state council in the nation to host a live event last year during the pandemic. While we didn't have 2,500 people there, we had 500 people on site. We had 750 people on our online conference. We had 0 cases of COVID transmitted last year, or on site at all, because everyone took the precautions. We're doing the same thing again this year. We're making sure that we're safe. The Gaylord is welcoming us, and it's an opportunity for all of us to gather. but we have over 130 concurrent sessions. We have 17 credits available. Doug is a big part of that because he's part of the programs team. And as of today, we have 18 possible credit hours of business credit. So if you're getting certified as an SCP, you're always looking for business credit. You could get 17, all 17 hours that you can go to. You have 18 different options to choose from, and you could fill up, just about all of your business credit requirements in one conference. So it's great to be able to do that. So we have 130 sessions available to choose from. 18 of those are certified as business, including all 3 of our keynotes. But we also have the 3 big keynotes: Dr. Drew Pinsky on Monday, Jade Simmons on Tuesday, and Joe DeLoss on Wednesday. He's going to be my favorite. He is the founder of Hot Chicken Takeover up in the Kentucky and Ohio area. But his claim to fame, the thing that he really pushes, is the second chance hiring people who are, some people call them convicted felons, some people call them formerly incarcerated, some people call them those who are reintegrating back into society. 90% of the people that he hires come from that population. And he's found out that the most loyal employees you can hire in your company are those you give a second chance to. So I'm looking forward to hearing that. Of course, we have our Expo Hall 5K run that we're doing on Sunday evening. Run, walk, crawl, or just sit there and cheer people on, because that's what I do. But we do that. We're going for the charity for this year is the Special Olympics Florida. If those of you don't know, Special Olympics, the big Special Olympics, will be happening in Florida next year. So this is a great opportunity to help fund the organization this year in preparation for that. And then, of course, we have our Monday night lip sync battle between our chapters throughout the state. We have 28 chapters, and we've got a handful of those who are participating in that. And Tuesday night's going to be our Shaken Not Stirred event, a whole 007 theme. We've got, think Casino Royale. We've got all the gaming tables available. We've got themed appetizers. Of course, the Shaken Not Stirred martinis will be there. But it's going to be a great fun, and it's an opportunity for us to be able to gather back together, but also learn a lot from that. So there's my 30 seconds plus 2 minutes. So Doug, I'll turn it back over to you.
That was good. The timer was running. I could hear it going. That was a good ad that you did there. Nice job, sir.
Yeah, thanks.
We are very excited, and it's always a good time. And you guys put on one heck of a show. That's why I got involved, and I can't imagine not being a part of it. So keep up the great work. With that, we're going to move on. As Chad mentioned, with some of the sections we're going to go to, we're going to continue on from where we stopped on Tuesday. We're getting into the business acumen, consultation, and critical evaluation. So we're going to kind of run through some of the questions. We'll talk about the answers. You can put your comments in the chat box, and we'll go from there and try to see as many as we can get to. We're going to get to. All right, let me switch my screen here. Right, everybody can see that? Question number one. The vice president of HR of an organization is a highly competitive industry and has heard that the Federal Employees Health and Safety Agency is considering increasing its employee safety regulations. What would be the best action for the vice president to take? So we're going to go A, B, C, or D, just like last time. Provide testimony to the agency stating preferences and the need to make new regulations apply to the business of all sizes. Urge HR staff and employees to send messages to their representatives protesting the need for extensive new regulations. Take the opportunity at the next HR professional gathering to discuss the situation with other HR leaders. Pay for a full-page newspaper advertisement that presents arguments against the new health and safety regulations. So remember, this is questions related to the SHRM SCP test. So they're more on higher level thinking and things that you would do as opposed to what the book says sometimes. So we have A, B, C, or D. What's the best action for the vice president to take? Chad, you got any comments on these newspaper ads?
Well, I always love this, where every answer possibly could be there, but there's some that are really wild out there. Testimony of the agency stating the preference. Part of that is, apply to business of all sizes. Well, it also is going to hurt the smaller businesses. So if you take a look at that, they're in a highly competitive industry, so they want to make sure everyone's on the same playing field. I think the, send messages to representatives protesting, Yeah, it's kind of one of those throwaway answers. Talk about it with other HR leaders. Absolutely, I would certainly do that. And the full page ad, well, how do we know that we're just against it? So yeah, I'd probably go with A, like everyone else has said.
Hey, nice rhetoric there. I like it. All right, out of the gates. Nice job.
By the way, providing testimony to the agency can also come in the form of when a proposed rule is published in the Federal Register, they do it as proposed and they're asking for feedback. And they give a link to be able to provide that feedback. So you can actually provide feedback and be some of the 1,000 comments they receive or 200,000 comments that they receive. But each of you can participate in that.
It's always good to get your voice heard if you can. Porter's 5 Forces framework was designed to identify industries that were more likely to be profitable and provide a return on investment. Which of the 5 functions influenced by the other 4? Bargaining powers of buyers, threat of substitution, threat of entry, rivalry among competitors. I like that one. But I just right out of the gates there, if you start thinking about rivalry, that makes you work a little bit harder, doesn't it? Which factors of the 5 forces influenced by the other 4? That's my take. Competition. Threat of substitution. You get knocked out, maybe. Bargaining power of the buyers. It's always going to be there. I got D. Got a couple D's in the boxes here. Like D, Chad?
On this one, I'm not going to take a guess.
I'll throw myself out there. I'm vulnerable. Let's see.
Well, it's funny because when you take a look at it, you're looking at all of them. When it says which of the 5 factors is influenced by the other 4. So when you take a look at what are all the 5 forces, when you take a look at Porter's 5 forces, which one are influenced by the other 4? In other words, where you're going. Is it the bargaining power of buyers? Is that, or the threat of substitution, entry, or rivalry among competitors? So far,
what you did right
Jeff, by the way, Richard is not Richard. Richard is Jennifer. Just so everyone understands that. But we got 2 D's and 1 C.
Just to interrupt you real quick there before we push the button. What he did, guys, if you notice the way that he just broke that question down, when you're taking your test and you start to look through that, if you go back and break it into pieces, just like he did on what the question's really asking, because sometimes you might catch something that says which one is not the most driving force, or you kind of read it a little bit better that way. So that was a really good way of example of breaking it down. I like that.
By the way, the 5 forces are competition in the industry, potential for new entrants into the industry, power of suppliers, power of customers, and threat of substitution. So those are the 5, and there are 4 things that are listed here.
I'm still stuck on it. All right. We live to fight another day. 2 for 2.
So rivalry among competitors, one of the reason, and here's the rationale that it puts up there, is all these other things, we don't know how all these things compare, but it's the competitors who are coming in. That's the big unknown that we have out there.
Everybody's trying to do something cheaper. All right. A company has entered the phase with no new growth or business initiatives. The HR director is meeting with the HR team about the upcoming budget. What type of initiative is the HR director most likely to support? Enhancement of work-life balance, it's always a good one, with no direct budget needs or impacts. Development of the pay for performance system and high performers, cash. New recruitment strategies centered around social media expertise, and review and revision of the company's employee policies. So this is, which type of initiative is the HR director most likely to support when they're talking to the HR team about the budget? So they're saying where the money's coming from, where it's going.
So remember the first sentence, though, a company has entered a phase with no new growth or business initiatives. Status quo.
Pay for performance is out. If we're not giving any more, and then why we do a centered around social media expertise for a recruitment strategy, no new growth or business initiatives. So we're down to A and D.
Well, enhancement for work-life balance, no direct budget needs or impacts, possibly because there's no new growth or business initiatives. Review and revision of the employee policies, kind of boring. But well, think about it. Development for a pay for performance for high performers. They're faced with no new growth. Maybe we want growth. Maybe we want to get to that point.
That's a good point.
We need some of that. What will we always need growth in business initiatives, right? We need to be able to continue growing. Even people who are in a nonprofit need to be able to grow the organization, because if you don't make a profit in a nonprofit, you're shrinking, you're not growing. And it could be a number one of any one of those. We've got 3 for A right now, which you know it goes because there is no new growth. There's nothing growing.
If you're the boss and you're like, I'm sorry, I can't give you a raise, but you guys will be able to work from home 3 days a week, you know, or something. I don't know.
So far they say A. I would argue for B, but you go with A because that's what the group says.
All right, A it is. Pay for performance would require a significant increase in the payroll budget.
And that's where the philosophy is. So if the philosophy is we have no additional funds coming in, let's figure out what we can do that doesn't have a budgetary impact.
Exactly.
If the company, however, wants to figure out how can we start the growth cycle again, the answer would be B. But that wasn't in the question.
You always work harder if you get more options to make more money. The 30-year-old beverage company manufactures under its own label as a private labels for a new number of retailers that operate internationally. Slim margins of tight competition in the industry have caused the company to look at its operations and decide to merge with a competitor. The newly formed company will operate under the banner of the original company, and the second company will operate as an enhanced product line. The merger has created a lot of excitement among the leadership teams of both companies, and it means expansion into new markets and new product lines. The merger for information was shared with the European Operations Works Council, and after much discussion, is moving forward. Employees in the European location are not, however, pleased with the merger. It's going ahead. The senior vice president of HR has heard that employees are trying to mobilize and are planning a European Day of Action. And they will be holding demonstrations, passing out leaflets, and conducting media interviews to share why this merger is not the best interest of its employees. Employees are also requesting to meet with key organizational leaders, including the senior vice president of HR. The final hurdle that the organization is waiting on is a regulatory approval. Once this is received, the newly merged entity will further review the combined operations and duplication of positions, roles, and responsibilities. They believe they can reduce the overall workforce by 15%. What's the first step the senior vice president of HR should take in response to the request of the European employees to meet with the organization's leaders? A, refuse to meet with the employees moving forward with the merger before the employees can take any action. Review the Works Council agreement to determine the best advice to provide management. Agree to the meeting with the employees to gain their input and approval for the merger activities and reductions. That's not happening. Dismissed. And the request to meet as a merger has no bearing on the roles, responsibilities, or rights of the Works Councils. So the question is, what's the first step the senior vice president of HR should take in response to the request of the European employees to meet with the organizational leaders?
So far we have a C and a B. So A, refusing to meet with the employees and move forward and just say, forget you, it's going to be, you're going to cause more problems. Review the agreement to determine the best advice to provide to management. Remember, they have requested a request of the employees to meet with the organization's leaders. So this is not doing that, and it's ignoring them. C is agree to meet with the employees and gain their input and approval for the merger activities and reductions. And D is dismiss the request, which frankly is the same as A, and frankly is the same as B. B says to review the agreement and provide the best advice to management. Now, that could also be understanding what the agreement says, so before management meets with them,
Yes,
or C. So, I mean, I think we're looking at B and C, with Leah at C and everyone else saying B.
Well, the Works Council agreement is what's going to help, kind of like, their labor rules on what they're allowed to do, say, and do, if they can protest and all that kind of stuff, I think.
And remember, this is the best first step. So right. The first step, it's not saying don't meet with them, but B is saying review it, provide advice to management.
Instead of act. B, it looks like B. We're going to go B, Chad.
All right, let's see what happens.
Roll the dice. There it is, B.
So remember, that's the first step. It's not the only step. So the
Correct.
next step may be C.
That's correct. All right.
So, and hold on, go back up for a second.
I don't know that I'm
Okay,
too
you already did. So the response up on top, don't go backwards because we don't want to screw it up. The response said B was not, or C was not the first step to take because we wanted to understand what the agreement said first. And that's why the first step was B.
correct. Which action should the Senior Vice President of HR take first to respond to the news about the threatened work actions? Manage the risk by waiting to see if the employee's actions and
That's not managing risk.
lead from the back. Recommended that the organization lock out and terminate the employees who participate in the action. So that could be part of the Works Council agreement. Share the information with the senior leadership team so that they can formulate a response. Or D, review the business community plan with leaders and develop a short-term staffing plan. What action should the Senior Vice President of HR take first to respond to the news of the threatened work actions? So A is not going to happen.
A and B are out.
B is you're not locking them out unless it says that there's no protesting, no walkouts. Share the information with the senior leadership team so that they can formulate a response. That's for sure. D, review the business continuity plan with the leaders for a short-term staffing plan. So if they walk out.
But remember, this is just a threatened work action. So there are two different things that you should do both. Share the information with leadership so they can formulate a response because you hear that this is happening, but review the business continuity plan with leaders. What happens if this does happen? You know, what steps do you need to take? And business continuity is always important to know what's going on. Remember, what's the first response to the news about a threatened work action? Do you share it with senior leaders or do you review your business continuity plan with leaders?
I still like reviewing it. To figure out what you're going to do, worst case scenario. But I don't see any problem. Any problem going telling the boss, hey, this is going to happen. What do you want to do? I'm struggling with HR being in charge of the business continuity plan because normally that comes from operations, and they say this is our staffing levels. What can you do to help us?
Well, HR should be involved in the business continuity plan
To get more help, right? But not
all you're doing is reviewing it.
So I think that might be the next step. D. All right, we did it.
Now go back up for a second.
D is the best response. It allows
D
organization.
is incorrect because the approach wouldn't just demonstrate HR's strategic value because you're just going to management asking for their advice.
Sure. Yeah, it's like go to your boss with a problem. You always go with an answer, right?
Yep, you're developing the short-term staffing plan in case it happens.
Next question. Which action should the Senior Vice President of HR take to effectively communicate information about the merger's effect on the workplace to its employees?
That's right,
Issue global communication that outlines high-level changes and advises that the company will involuntarily eliminate a portion of the workforce, create a global communication plan beginning with a description of the high-level changes and advising that the details will follow after a thorough review. Wait until the complete analysis has been done and then announce the impact to the employees, transparently sharing full details. Ooh. Outline the communication challenge for the leadership team. Then have them cascade information based on the communication preference to the employees. So we're trying to see what the Senior Vice President of HR, what action should they take to effectively communicate the information on the merger's effect to the workforce to the employees? Send out a strongly worded email? Maybe not. Issue global communications? Maybe. Create global.
Hold on. Issue global communication that outlines high level and advise that the company will involuntarily eliminate a portion of the workforce. Probably not the best.
They don't want to do it. That's out. B, create global communication. I don't like any of the global. I mean, it is global because they're European, and I guess the other ones in the United States, it didn't really say it. Beginning with a description of the high-level changes, advising the details to follow after a thorough review. Wait until the complete analysis has been done to announce the impact of the employees, transparently sharing full details. It's a touchy one there, but if you're outlining communication challenges to the leadership team, once again, you're coming with a problem. and then telling them to deal with it, right?
So Leah said, Leah's the one who answered so far. Well, Jennifer put a D on there as well. So here, think about it this way. Remember, we're looking at the senior level.
Yep.
Because we're supposed to be coming up with the plans and everything else. The first one's out because that's just stupid to do that, and you're going to create a riot. Create a global communications plan, which means you're the one who's doing it from a strategic point of view. High-level changes, we're going to give you more information later. The other one is wait for someone else to complete an analysis. That's not a senior level HR professional. And the final one is outline the challenges, but here's the key. Based on their communication preference. In other words, we're just going to leave it to the managers to decide how they want to communicate. So in this case, B is the right answer because we're creating a global communication plan.
Effectively communicate information. I like that. Way to break it down, Chad. B sounds good too, she says.
We'll find out if I'm just making it up. Hey, look at that. I'm not.
It's just like coming off the back of your hand there, bud. Finish. I think you got a hundo out of that one there. 100. What? Good job, team. All right, business analysis, the next one here. Let's see. Last score, 0. An organization has to increase its hiring without increasing HR headcount. How could machine learning help? By reviewing applications to identify and contact promising candidates, by providing more accurate and timely progress reports on recruitment goals, by making and managing appointments for the candidate interviews, by analyzing historical data on successful hires. The question is, an organization has to increase its hiring without getting more people in HR. How could machine learning help? So, get a software system for applicant tracking. That's going to review. It also is going to provide more timely progress reports, but what's that going to do to increase its hiring?
Correct. So we'll eliminate B for sure.
Making and managing appointments for candidate interviews, that will do it faster if they're on a large scale. That does, you can send out.
But how do we know which ones we're going to be asking for interviews?
We had no clue. I don't think it's anything other than A. I mean, analyzing historical data on successful hires. I mean, analysis could be done without that machine, right?
So we got an A, and we've got a D and a D. It's one of the two. That's easy to say.
That's for sure. It's definitely one of the two. I'm leaning at A, but D. There's another D just popped up there. Analyzing historical data on successful hires. So I guess that, if you look at it from the standpoint of, all right, pull everybody aside that's still working here that we hired. What did we do right to get those people, and how can we continue to do those quickly without adding more people? That's a good possibility. I'll go D. Majority's got D.
Do we care about history? So history is important. Sorry, I didn't mean to break them. History is important because we do want to know what has been successful in the past. However, what historical data do we have on successful hires? And we have to make sure that we have the right ones in there. A, however, where one person is saying A and the rest are saying D, on A, the positive side on there is that we've identified here are the keywords, here are the things that we're looking for in candidates, so we can bring in more candidates. It's going to be A or D.
I'm still stuck on A, but it's starting to coming around here. We've got A, two more by same person there.
Jennifer's very, very, very much on A, and the rest are on D. I mean, group says D.
There we go. A. Machine learning allows a computer system to think and perform like a human in case. So that's what they're saying is they got, just like the scanners at the checkout at Target, they get less people to spend money on the computer software.
So, but that's the thing is that for hiring, what you're looking for, so you're already looking for keywords. Your system can look for those keywords and contact promising candidates. Doesn't say schedule an interview, just says contacting them, which means you can use your computer system, your applicant tracking software, to go out and say, I want to send them a questionnaire. I want to schedule them for a phone interview. I want to find out what times they're available for a phone interview. So you can use your systems to go through and do that and identify the right ones.
I like it. Next, which of the following reporting analytic features of an HRS provide high-level, real-time metrics that are configurable to user preferences and can be linked to essential organizational metrics. Answers: EHR reports, standard reports, ad hoc reports, and dashboards. Dashboards are the big thing these days. You can see your metrics year over year. You can see like real-time hires and how long it's taken to process a candidate.
I think we have consensus so far.
Let's just move with D. There we go.
Yep. So dashboards are great. Here's the thing I'll say about dashboards. When you're out creating them, don't come up with a dashboard for information you think is important. Come up with a dashboard for information that your C-suite thinks is important, which means you might have to convert data a little bit. In other words, cost to hire or days to fill, convert that into a number that your C-suite will understand and care about.
Amen. Good point. Once key performance indicators have been determined and performance has been measured, what HRIS tool is best for presenting the information? Flowchart, theory of constraints, Gantt chart, dashboard indicators.
So we can get rid of a Gantt chart, right? Because a Gantt chart just shows, you know, what are we doing and when are we doing it? And
It can't be dashboard indicators again, right? It can't.
It's like they're tricking me here. We just did dashboard.
Flowchart. I mean, here's one to another. Theory of constraints. Really? I think we're all good with D.
Gotta go D, huh? Too easy.
Shocked.
All right, scenario time. Next 3 questions. An HR leader has been recently hired as the Chief Human Resources Officer for the global organization. The CEO has indicated a need for HR demonstrated strategic value to organization and has provided the CHRO with full support to make any necessary changes, including adjustments to HR staffing and, if necessary, a complete restructuring of the department. The CEO has requested the HR strategic plan within a 6-month period. To better understand HR in the organization and to identify gaps, the CHRO develops and administers a survey to measure the current effectiveness of the HR team, as well as perceptions regarding HR contributions to the success of the organization. The survey yields the following key themes for the Chief Human Resources Officer to consider. Internal clients value the HR business partners and maintain strong relationships with them. The HR team does a good job overall, but clients wish HR understood the client's businesses better. While clients trust their business partners, they sometimes doubt the information or advice provided by the HR team. You can understand. Clients appreciate that the HR team will go outside the scope of their roles to take on such tasks as meeting and event planning when needed. After review of the survey results, what's the best action the Chief Human Resources Officer should take to better understand the themes uncovered? A, review the survey results with the HR team and further validate responses and begin a plan to address each area. B, focus on the development areas by administering a brief follow-up survey that is more specific to the issues uncovered. C, select a sample group of managers and employees to meet and review the results to develop preliminary actions. D, send a summary of the themes uncovered to a sample group of managers and request further input to validate them.
So I'll just like A or D.
Yeah, A is a strong one because you're going to review it. You just got the survey results. But then it says, after review of the survey results, what is the best action that the CHRO could do to understand the data? So if A says review again, you kind of already reviewed it, right? But you're going to go over it with the HR team? Is that the next step? Bring it back to the people that they're mad about or happy about? Or D is an option, send a summary of themes uncovered to a sample group of managers to request further input to validate. I don't know that that's the right thing to do. We got some D, C, D, more Ds.
So focus group on the developmental areas by administering a brief follow-up survey. Again, it's just another survey. Are you going to get more information? Are you really going to get more information just by sending out another survey? C says select a sample group of managers and employees to meet and review the results and determine preliminary actions. So are you going to develop those actions yourself, or are you letting everyone else do that? Send a summary of those themes uncovered to a sample group and request further input to evaluate. So part of it is you want to dig deeper on the information that you've learned. I could see a couple different possibilities with this one. So far, the group has said two out of the group have said that D is the answer. One has said C.
And one C. Send a summary of themes uncovered. Got enough D's there? Want to go with D?
Find out.
Incorrect. C.
So we see up on top, it says the best practice is analyzing and responding to the results to create a cross-functional team to review. So you want to bring in other people. You want to bring other knowledge in. One of the reasons why you get a sample group of managers and employees is because you're picking some people from here and here and here, as opposed to, D was sample group as well, but there's no interaction with them except for saying, give us more information.
Yeah, kicking the can down the road. They only got 6 months to get it done, right?
Yep.
Given the lack of trust in the members of the HR team, which steps should the Chief Human Resources Officer take to best improve the perception of the team's members?
Fire them all. I don't see that as one of the options.
Not either. Coordinate information sessions for the stakeholders to interact with the HR team members to better understand their roles. Task the HR team with creating profiles for each role in the department to highlight the skill set of each team member. Task the HR business partners with facilitating interactions between stakeholders and the other HR team members. Or D, request feedback from the stakeholders each time the request for information is fulfilled by any member of the HR team. That's out.
Yep.
I coordinate information sessions with stakeholders to interact with the HR team to better understand the roles. I don't think that you need to go that deep. You don't need the stakeholders down in what your HR techs are doing, right? Task the HR team by creating profiles in each role of the department and highlight a skill set of each team member. So that's good. So if I get a call about widgets, it goes to Steve, or if I get a call, because they're saying they don't all know what they're doing, don't trust them. But if they have somebody that's their area of expertise, it's like having a buyer in an organization who's in charge of certain things. But I like that one.
But C also, as Leah put on there, task the HR business partner with facilitating interactions between stakeholders and other HR team members. Because remember, the thing says, given the lack of trust in members of the HR team. So now you have a person who is facilitating interactions between the two parties.
So they got to go between. All right, I like that.
However, and I'll flip the side and say for B, the profiles for each role, here's the understanding of what the role is, highlight the skill set. So they are out there, here is their skill set, here's what they're good at doing. I still like C personally on this one. Hold on, Jennifer hasn't responded yet. She's usually right, but not always.
I got a B and a C and another. I don't see LOL. There's a C.
Two say C, one says B.
I do like the confidence level of a higher level person between them. I like your thought about that. And it's correct. Nice job.
Now here, further, B was not correct because it says further defining and clarifying roles is useful. However, by itself won't change the perception.
That's true. They're still going to make
interaction. It's the personal side that will help.
Steve screwed me last time. He's going to screw me again. All right. Next question. Which steps should the Chief Human Resources Officer take first to effectively communicate the changes in HR strategy and structure that are being considered to an organization? A, implement the changes and then roll out the communication plan to the entire organization. Partner with the communications director to create and implement communications plan. C, develop a detailed communication plan and first review it with the senior leadership team. Outline the new plan and structure on the company intranet site and request feedback. So the next step for the CHRO to take effective communication, the changes in the HR strategy and structure being considered for the organization. What do you do next? I like the idea of partnering with the communications director on B. Oh, I got a C, somebody just said C. Develop a detailed communication plan.
So B is develop the plan and implement it. However, C is develop a plan and first review it with senior leadership team.
Okay.
John's answer is C, but someone likes B better. So I would say B would be the answer if it said partner with the communications director to create a communications plan and then review it with senior leadership team. So we don't always like the way the 4 answers are put out there, but I think the answer is probably going to be C.
Yeah, back in the first part of the scenario, it says the CO, is requested within 6 months. It doesn't really give him like autonomous, get it done type of thing. Like I like the idea of rolling back to the stakeholders and say, hey, you good with this?
Right.
This is what we've uncovered. Get their buy-in. See? Oh, somebody else said I like B there.
Let's find out.
All right.
So I think that's where it is. B, partner with communication director to finalize is a useful step once they've got the buy-in from senior leadership.
Yeah.
So first get that buy-in.
Yeah. Instead of asking forgiveness, is that what you do? Yeah.
That's right.
All right, we got time for strategic alignment for sure. Let's do another one here.
We'll get through these. Let's just start cranking them out.
Which situation would lead a high debt to asset ratio in an organization's financial performance? Funding its growth strategy through borrowing, being unsuccessful in obtaining payments from sales, inability to generate through sustainable revenue, lack of innovation with new growth initiatives. So we're trying to, which situation? The high debt.
Asset. So B is out because it's obtaining payments, so it's not debt, it's just accounts receivable. Inability to generate enough sustainable revenue, again, that's not debt, that's just not getting enough. And innovation for lacking growth initiatives, the answer is going to be A. Go for it.
I agree. Keep borrowing. They're printing that money on one side of the paper right now. Management tells HR that it should be budget for an increase in the hiring rate in the upcoming year, but that HR headcount cannot increase. How will this affect the HR budget? The budget for variable cost items will increase. The budget for fixed cost items will decrease. Since the headcount will remain the same, the HR budget will remain the same. The budget will likely be increased by the same percentages of the increases for the total workforce. So we're not getting more people. But you got to go up. If everybody else is going up in the hiring plan, you would think that everybody else in HR would go up also, right?
Well, yeah, remember it says the budget should budget for an increase in hiring rate in the upcoming year, but the headcount can't go up. So the variable costs, which are based on headcount, will go up. Fixed costs will decrease. Well, no, fixed costs aren't going to decrease.
That's out. That one's out.
HR budget will remain the same. Well, no, the variable costs, A.
I think it's A.
Yep.
There we go.
Because variable costs are things like, what are your costs for benefits? Costs for benefits are based on the number of employees using the benefits.
Yes, sir. How would organizations' use of zero-based budgeting affect the human resources budget? All right, that's a tough one. The functions budget would see no growth in the upcoming period. New projects must be postponed until the current projects are completed. Balances for continuing projects from the previous period are carried over. All expenditures must be justified, and HR must compete with the other departments for funding. So the zero-based budgeting is you show me what you're going to do, and it's based off what everybody else is doing. For HR as a support organization, we have to do whatever they're doing out there. So that makes it very tough for zero-based on us.
That consensus so far is D, and that's my answer.
D.
You are competing against everyone else to make sure you get your budget.
All right, next 3 questions. Next 4 questions. 4. What sales department the sales department of the company is in the midst of reorganization. An important factor to the decision to reorganize was the president's concern over lagging sales and missed targets for the past 2 years and a desire to restructure the compensation plan for the group. Once the reorganization was announced, the director of the sales group resigned. This gave the company the opportunity to restructure the leadership of this area, resulting in a new vice president of sales being hired, replacing the former. As part of the new VP's onboarding, the HR director updates the VP on sales reorganizing activities to date and the employee performance in the area. He also shares that the proposed structural changes and indicates that the former VP sales leader may have shared these plans prematurely with the sales staff. The plans include possible staff reductions and ending unprofitable customer relationships. What recommendations should the HR director make to influence the VP to focus on the retention of key salespeople? A, develop a bonus system to align with the mission, vision, and core values of the organization. Wait 6 to 8 months, put your head in the sand and make any changes before the VP investigates the issues with the sales team for herself. Pay out retention bonuses to high potential employees for a period of time. Wait until employees express interest in leaving to come up with a plan for retention. So the recommendation to the HR director make to influence the VP over the retention of the key sales folks. I don't know why they would be recommended influence.
So far, everyone's saying A. I think you can click A.
Let's go A. Right, way to go, team. What action should the HR director take to demonstrate and understand?
Demonstrate, not discriminate.
Yeah. Demonstrate an understanding of the priorities of both the sales function and the organization. A, wait until the VP of sales wants to solve the issues and then agree with her approach. B, encourage the VP of sales to implement her ideas without any HR involvement. C, listen to the VP's needs and thoughts and then offer ideas to create the appropriate sales structure. D, listen to the VP's needs and thoughts and then immediately implement those suggestions. All right, so A is hilarious.
We're all good with C.
C is it. That's all I see. All right.
That's the consultative part of it.
What should the HR manager do to ensure the new incentive plan will drive behaviors that will result in increased sales? A, post the plan on the company's intranet for employees to read and encourage them to ask questions about the production to the production manager. Train the supervisors on how to be better mentors and coaches to increase productivity, thus driving sales. C, enhance the performance management system and simplify the performance appraisal process to measure progress. D, communicate to sales the reason for the plan being implemented, including how individual performance drives incentives. HR manager do to ensure the incentive plan will drive behaviors. You post it out there on the internet.
It will result in increased sales. Yep.
That's B.
Communicate the reason why the plan is being implemented and how individual performance drives incentives, because you want to make sure that people truly understand how they can benefit from this new plan.
D?
Yep.
All right. Nailed it. What action should the HR manager take to influence the production manager to support the more comprehensive organizational effectiveness and development interventions? Conduct an ROI analysis of the projected impact of the incentive plan on productivity and send it to the production manager for review. B, tell the production manager how the other HR programs, such as training and team building exercises, can be leveraged to increase productivity. I like that. Send the production manager the latest journal article on how OED programs help achieve organizational goals and objectives. D,
Boring.
right. Develop a business case proposal for the comprehensive integrated solutions that includes cost, benefits, risks, anticipated timeline, and projected ROI. That's not bad. D,
So again, what should the HR manager do to influence the production manager to support a more comprehensive OED program?
yeah, I was all about B until I read D.
So B would just be, hey, by the way, we've done other things, so this one should be able to work as well. That doesn't really need a whole lot of, I mean, yeah, you could do that, but it doesn't really show it.
Get a little rah-rah behind it, but
Don't just create an analysis and send it to someone for review. B, provide or develop that business case.
yes, sir.
Yes.
Nailed it. All right.
Bueno.
We hammered through that one. Let's see. Let's go down to consultation here. We got time? Yeah, we got time. We already did the HR Florida business. All right. Through a recent company-wide survey, the large number of employees expressed interest in using cross-divisional teams to address organizational challenges. Which analysis should the HR business partner use to win management support for a pilot program? SWOT analysis, it's always a winner. Force yield analysis. C, multi-criteria decision analysis, or D, cost-benefit analysis. Where is the money? Is it A, Chad, or is it D for the business-minded man making money?
Well, remember, so this is a large number of employees expressed an interest in using cross-divisional teams to address the challenges. They want to be able to start the cross-divisional teams. So a SWOT analysis is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of that. The cost-benefit analysis says, so if we do this, what's it going to cost us and what are the benefits that are going to come from that? So far, we've got an A and 2 Ds on this one.
They're not going to.
The force field analysis, how much do we have going this way? How much do we have going that way?
Right.
Multi-criteria decision analysis, I haven't looked at that enough to know what it is.
They're thinking of calling a consultant to talk about cost benefits, right?
Right.
D?
I think, you know, when you're taking a look at a SWOT, it's taking a look at both internal and external side of things. You know, the opportunities and threats are really looking external. The weaknesses and strengths are looking internal. So I think your answer is B or is D, and obviously it is. So the SWOT analysis, if you're looking at external threats and things like that, that's where you want to focus it.
An HR consulting team wants to better understand the odds that a particular incentive can be implemented successfully.
Initiative
can be implemented successfully. What tool is designed to support this analysis? Multi-criteria decision analysis, force field analysis, SWOT analysis, and the old Delphi technique.
Oh, of course, the Delphi technique, of course.
Page 62 of the manual. The multi-criteria decision analysis, I don't know. The box says, what tool is designed to support this analysis? So
the odds that look at it this way, the odds that a particular initiative can be implemented. So I would not do SWOT. I would not do force field. The multi-criteria decision analysis, I think, is probably the best way to go. But that's only because I don't know what the Delphi technique is.
I haven't used the Delphi in years. All right. Of course, it's a force field. But at least
hold on, let's read the reason.
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
The factors that favor and oppose a particular change. So in other words, they want to do a particular initiative. They're looking at what works, what doesn't. The Delphi is an anonymized approach to gathering information. All right, so that absolutely isn't there.
That's it. It's anonymous surveys. All right, I'll remember that. That's going to be a question.
That's the Delphi side.
That's
so
right.
Force field analysis. So what are the so force field analysis? Look at it this way. What are the pros and cons of doing this?
Got it. After reviewing the current practices, HR conducts a focus group of employees who are forced to work frequent overtime, mandatory overtime. The information leads to the implementation of changes in the work practices. What's the best next step for HR? Surveying employees, developing training for key stakeholders, evaluating the results of the initiative, or D, pilot testing the initiative before implementation. We always pilot programs in government, just so you know. Focus group
for a senior certified professional.
What's the key question here? The information leads to implementation of changes in work practices. What's the next best step for HR? So leads to the implementation of changes in the work practices. What's after that?
I would agree with Jennifer in saying C, because you want to evaluate what those changes were to make sure they were the right changes.
All right, that's what I picked too. Let's go. All right, next three questions. The technology company has two divisions located on opposite sides of the large country, of a large country decides to consolidate operations into a single location to reduce costs. As a result, more than 3,000 employees will need to relocate across the country to another location. Senior management knows that it will be very expensive to provide corporate relocation assistance to all affected employees, but wants to offer an incentive bonus to motivate employees to make the move. Management is confident that the mass relocation effort can be completed within 9 months and task the HR department with the effort. HR can do it. The CEO is targeting 60% take rate, meaning that 6 in 10 employees must accept the company's relocation offer. Those who decline the offer will receive 2 weeks of severance pay, adios, at the end of the 9-month transition period. The CHRO asked the HR director to lead the relocation effort. What is the most effective approach to the HR director to take to achieve 60% anticipation target? Develop and distribute the informational booklet for all the materials and relocation initiatives. Announce the company will donate $500 to the charity of the employee's choice and will employees relocate.
Oh yeah, that'll make a difference.
Ask employees already at the remaining location to visit closing locations to answer questions. Identify relocation quotas for each position and offer bonuses to managers who meet their quotas. That's not bad. I say you tell them all, if you don't move within 9 months, I'm going to give you 2 weeks of severance pay.
Yeah, and that's all they're getting.
That's right. That's it. Oh, man.
Well, you know, if you're only talking to the managers and trying to get them to meet their quotas, you're not focusing on the employees and getting the take rate up. So the first, I think I agree with everyone else that get information out to them about the relocation incentives to get them to accept it.
I like it. We were correct. Next question. Let's finish this one up. People are dropping here. What action should the HR director take regarding the positions of the employees who decline to relocate? Allow those who decline to relocate to work remotely?
Nowadays, that might be an answer.
Contract with the employment agency to fill the positions? Persuade these employees with additional relocation benefits? Fill the positions with temporary employees for the time being? Oh, no, let's see. Allow those who decline to relocate to work remotely? I don't know. I don't know how that helps.
Well, it's funny because this is the learning system from 2020. And nowadays, a lot of people are doing that, but would it work?
I mean, were they thinking about that before the pandemic? You know, like, okay, you don't have to move, you can work here, right? I don't know.
And as Jennifer says in there, you do retain the knowledge and you keep the best employees.
Institutional knowledge, I like it.
But you know, does it work for all positions? Look at that.
Nailed it.
If possible. And notice working remotely if possible.
If possible. You can't sell shirts in a store remote. Next question. The HR director has never coordinated relocation before and is unfamiliar with the options provided by the vendors. Which approach should the HR director take to most effectively select a relocation vendor? Ask the other members of the HR department which vendors they have worked with previously. Meet with the leadership to develop a list of priorities to consider when choosing a relocation vendor. Establish a committee to affected employees to assist in identifying a relocation vendor. Choose the least expensive relocation vendor with the most favorable online reviews. D, go the Amazon route.
How about B, let's do the consultative route.
We'll call up Chad and ask him what you've used before.
There you go.
B. Very well done, sir.
Call Chad.
That's it. Adaptive. All right, so we did good. We did pretty good tonight, guys. We rattled through quite a few of them. As I mentioned before, this is recorded, and I hit the button, thank goodness. And they'll be posted on the website. I got the one up from Tuesday the next day. It takes a little while to download it, and then we got to work with IT to get it loaded up. But we get up there pretty quickly. And you can watch the old ones. So we're creating a library, so we have them to go back. This is Chad's second one. I want to say thank you very much, Chad. I appreciate your time on a short notice, and I thank you very much. The testing window actually closes on the 15th, so we're rounding the corner here to the closing of the window. But if you want to close it up there real quick, Chad, I want to give you
absolutely. So here's my advice for taking the test. First, when you're looking at the questions, think about it as was said on here. What would SHRM say? That's part of it, is understanding what they would do, not necessarily what you would do all the time. So make sure that you understand that. Take a look at it from these, if you're doing the SCP, take a look at it from a business and consultative side of things, making sure that you understand that you're supposed to be looking at it from a strategic point of view, not a tactical point of view. That will help, because some of those questions, the tactical side say, that's what I'm gonna run and go do. But remember, if you're doing the SCP, you're looking at it from a strategic side, from a business side. Finally, as you get close to the exam, study and look at things. But once you get to the day before, don't study at all. Don't look at a book, don't do anything. Take the day off from work, go to the beach, go relax, go do something, because if you don't know it now, you're not going to know it, and all you're going to do is stress yourself out. So every person that I've told to go relax the day before the exam has passed the exam. So hopefully that holds true for you. I'm not guaranteeing it, but Doug will.
That's what we're here for, producing results and qualifying people to pass the exam. Chad, well said. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Thank you to you guys that were on the line tonight. You did a great job. The next class is on Tuesday. Marianne Magnus, she's the president of the Keys chapter. She's going to be hosting with me. Looking forward to that. She's a senior certified professional as well, and we look forward to having her. She often sits in these classes and chimes in to kind of keep her knowledge up to date, and that's why I reached out to her to see if she wanted to host it with me, and she's available for Tuesday. So Tuesday's our last class of the session, and I look forward to seeing you guys again. And thanks a lot again to Chad and HR Florida for all your support. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely, and good luck, everyone.
Good luck.